Once upon a time, it was literally 30 degrees below zero wind chill here. So what does that mean? That means I'm filming more BellTube because I am not going outside. Hey, welcome back to BellTube, everyone. I'm Brian Bell. So we've got some things to talk about today. It's not going to be an overly long video, but I wanted to share with you what I've been reading over the last week or so, what's coming up on the channel, and some brand new ideas that I thought about. And hopefully the BellTube community can help me decide which of these are just great ideas and which of these are less than great ideas. So January's moving along, and with it, the DNF challenge. If you're not familiar with it, take a look back into the playlists of the BellTube catalog, and you'll see the video. I'll put it up here. I think it says like what, why on the thumbnail. But I reached out to 7 booktubers to give me a book that they DNF'd, and I turned that into my TBR for January. I know, it's crazy. I've gotten through 3 books already. Those are The Worm Ouroboros, The Three-Body Problem, and The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. I just finished that one yesterday. Now I am reading Weave World by Clive Barker that was suggested to me as Madison Goodyear's DNF. And I'm also reading The Big Ship at the Edge of the Universe by Alex White, and that came directly from the king of Booktube DNF himself, Andrew, from Andrew's Wizardly Reads. Yeah, so once we get through the 2 books that I'm reading right now, there's only a couple left, and one of them's a novella. So we're definitely going to make it through this DNF challenge, no problem. And since we're going to get through that challenge, I want to talk a little bit about February real quick. The only thing I have set in stone for February is Demon in White by Christopher Rocchio. Now, if you take a look back at the BellTube catalog again, I did a video maybe a month and a half ago asking the community, what series should I start next? And we started a poll, and I did that video. There was about 10 different series, and there are 3 or 4 contenders right now that are all within 1 vote of each other. So it's not too late to vote. I'm going to keep the voting open until the very end of January, but right now the top contenders are Malazan Book of the Fallen, the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn series by Tad Williams. We've got the Bloodsworn Saga by John Gwynne, and also the Long Price Quartet by Daniel Abraham. So there are some really strong contenders. Now, I'm not making any promises that I'm going to get through the entirety of these series this year, but I'm for sure going to start one. So definitely, if you haven't checked out that video, go do it and cast your vote in the community tab section. Of course, the best way to be part of the community is to like and subscribe to the channel. Hit that post notification bell so you never miss a video when we drop them. This last week was really fun. I was able to put out the Lit RPG Starter Guide that I'd been talking about for a while. If you haven't seen it yet, you know what I'm about to say. It's still Season 1 in BellTube. So go back to the catalog, take a look at the Lit RPG Starter Guide, and it's going to be there for you indefinitely. John Douglas, who's a good friend of the channel, suggested that it has an evergreen quality to it, meaning that on YouTube, it might stick around and be useful to people for many years to come. I sure hope so. I've listened to so much Lit RPG and I've read so much Lit RPG, and I hope my experience in the genre so far is compelling enough for brand new people to get started listening and finding some great adventures to read. Also last week on the channel, I was able to appear on 3 other amazing booktubers shows. The first one was with Dr. Philip Chase on his Way of Edan trilogy panel. I'm not exactly sure when that's going to drop. It's really up to Dr. Philip, but when it does, I will let everybody know in the comments. Another show that I was really excited to be on and had just a blast was Matt from Matt on Books. Put together a Books with Friends show that had myself, Matt, Alan from the Library of Alexandria, and the one and only, often imitated but never duplicated, Jimmy Nuts. Those guys are awesome. We had such a fun conversation, you guys. It's probably a couple of hours long. If you take a look at Matt on Books channel, and I'll link all of these channels, everyone that I'm talking about today, they will be in the description of this video. If you're not already subscribed to them, I strongly suggest you do it. They all bring something really unique, and I learn something from each and every one of these booktubers that I mention on the show. Also, last Sunday night, I was able to participate in Talking Stories celebration. That's John Minton's channel, of him getting to 3,000 subscribers. It's a great milestone. He's been doing Booktube for less than a year as well. So he invited some of the, I guess what's called the class of 2023. I'm not so sure about that title myself, but he definitely had a few of us on and we had a great time. Head over to Talking Story if you want to see that video and see those interviews and those conversations. So let's talk about some BellTube ideas that I've had. As a brand new booktuber or a relatively new booktuber, some of the staples of Booktube are probably not going to be available here for a little while. For example, I'm not going to have publishers sending me boxes of books to do a book haul for you. And if you've watched the channel at all, you know that I typically buy books as I read them. So it's really unlikely you're ever going to see me come back and say, hey, guess what, guys? I just bought 15 books and here they all are. Why? I don't know. I just don't buy my books that way. I guess if the community demands it, we'll do what you guys want to do. But for me right now, I like thinking about a book, buying the book, reading the book, shelving the book, and moving on and so on and so forth. So book hauls probably aren't going to be something that you see too much on the channel, but I am thinking about doing some different ideas. Things from the mundane and pretty ordinary, like doing some live streams. I thought about that a lot over the last week. Because I'd been invited to be on some other people's channels, I've been hesitant about it because I didn't want to come off as an ingenuine interviewer or an inexperienced and unknowledgeable interviewer. And I thought to myself, you know, I do all these one for the roads and I'm always suggesting people try new things. I need to take that advice myself. So I am going to do some live streams. I will be lining up some guests. I'm going to figure out how StreamYard works and we'll put them together. Whether they're going to be any good or not, that's going to be up for the BellTube community to decide, but at least I'm going to try to put some out there for you to see if that's something that works for this channel. We don't know until we try. And I also have an apology to you guys as well. I made a promise very, very long ago to you guys, forever ago, 10 weeks ago when we started the channel, that I would always keep the BellTube community first and foremost updated on new ideas I have for the channel before I share them with anybody else. Well, I kind of messed up a little bit. In my overenthusiasm when I was on some other shows, I announced some ideas that I had for us. And to bring everybody up to speed, I thought now might be a good time to share them with you. And you guys can tell me whether or not you have interest or not in the comments. One of these ideas is coming up with sort of a virtual live stream D&D game, but only with booktubers, because there are a lot of booktubers out there that you guys are probably subscribed to that play D&D. If one of them's a DM, definitely message me or hit me up in the comments, because I think that this could be something that would work really well on Booktube. Would be maybe a twice a month virtual D&D games, but rather than watching something like Critical Role where they're all voice actors and you don't really know any of them personally and you don't have a whole lot of interaction with them, it would be filled with people that you see all the time and interact with all the time in live streams and in chats and in community tabs and things of that nature, the comments and on X. I just think that might be something kind of fun. I don't know. Maybe it's a terrible idea, but you guys will let me know. And if you're a DM booktuber out there, for sure let me know. Maybe that's something we can put together. Especially for people, I know Mike has mentioned in the past that he never really got into D&D because the people around him weren't really into it, so he wasn't exposed to the game. Well, here would be his invitation. If you want to see people like him go through a D&D campaign, that might be kind of fun. We won't have to take it super serious. I mean, come on, it's BellTube. What do we do that's all that serious here? But I just think it might be a lot of fun to do. Another idea that I'm hoping will work out this year, I think we can make it happen. My guess is it's probably going to be more of a summertime thing, is I thought of a really cool concept and a segment that we could do once a month here on the channel, and I would call it, Can I Come Over? Now, what is Can I Come Over? It would be where I pick up the phone and vlog it of me calling another booktuber wherever they live in the United States and asking one simple question. Can I come over? If they say yes, I get a plane ticket. I vlog the whole thing. I go to where they film their Booktube, which is generally going to be in their home, and we do a co-episode. So it'll film on BellTube and it'll film on whatever channel that Booktuber has, and we make a dual episode. I think the Can I Come Over monthly segment might be a really cool series to do, and I'm not sure that I've ever seen anybody do it before, at least not consistently, and moving from Booktuber to Booktuber as part of a series. If Can I Come Over is a segment that you guys think might be fun, let me know in the comments, and I think towards the summer we might be able to make that happen. One video that I want you to be on the lookout for, by the way, is my best top 10 trilogies video. It's going to be coming out sooner rather than later, possibly yet still even this month. I have to sort of figure out when I'm going to tie that in along with the DNF challenge recap. As you've noticed, as I'm reading these DNF books, I haven't graded them publicly because I'm waiting for the big reveal at the end of the month. But I think if I do a top 10 trilogies list and then maybe later that week do the DNF recap, we might have a really big week here on the channel, and I'm doing everything I can to help our community grow as quickly as possible. And of course, it's time again this week for One for the Road. Now, One for the Road, I'm titling this week, Do It Now, because I'd like to share a story that happened to me last week. As you may or may not know, Shogun, the very famous book by James Clavell, has a remake coming out. I think it's either on Hulu or FX. I'm not sure which streaming network, but it looks incredible. And a lot of booktubers over the last year have really dove into the Shogun book. And I was actually even going to read it myself this month, but then we got into the DNF challenge, and of course, that had to get pushed out a little bit. But I've seen so many of the really cool black book editions of Shogun, and I was on, again, Mike's channel, and he was talking about that they're running out of that particular edition, and that due to the streaming tie-in, they weren't going to be publishing anymore. So I ran over to my local Barnes & Noble, and I scoured the shelves, and I'm looking everywhere for this book. All I'm seeing are the brand new tie-in editions. I'm not seeing that one I want for my bookshelf at all. So I walked up to one of the clerks who's been at this particular Barnes & Noble for a while. She looked like she was around about my age, so she had some experience. And I said to her, you know, I'm looking for this black, hardback edition of Shogun. Where could I find it? And she goes, well, I think we're out of it, but let me take a look at the publisher's website. So she goes on the computer and she sees that, of course, they're out of them as well. And I say, man, this is really a bummer. I wanted that one for the shelves, and I really don't like these new tie-in editions. And she looked at me, and I kid you not, like a first grade teacher scolding me. And she said, sir, this book has been out for like a million years. You had your chance. And I just stepped back and I was like, and I said to myself, wow, okay, angry Barnes & Noble clerk. Maybe she's been asked this question too many times. I don't know. But I thought about One for the Road, and I thought about do it now. If you have something on your mind, don't put it off, because you don't want someone telling you, you had your chance, you didn't do it. That opportunity went to someone else. So when possible, try not to let opportunities slip past your grasp. Do it now. And of course, here's your fortune.